Today, I want to talk to you about acorns. What? What is she talking about? I do. I want to talk to you about the Acorn Theory. Do you know what the Acorn Theory is? It's one of the most impactful concepts that I have come across in the past couple of years. It's had a deep impact on me, the work that I do, the mentorship work that I do. So I wanted to share it with you. So the Acorn Theory was coined by James Hillman, who is an American psychologist. He's now passed away, in his mega best-selling book called The Soul's Code. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. And the Acorn Theory, which is what he termed it, is actually something that goes all the way back to Aristotle. And the core concept of it is this, that we are all born with a soul, and our soul has a purpose. It has an essence. It has something that it is asking us to reveal during our lifetime. And so the acorn analogy is that, well, what is the acorn's purpose? What is the purpose of an acorn? Well, it is to grow into a really beautiful oak tree, right? So we all have our version of the acorn inside of us. And it is part of our life's work to uncover what that soul's purpose is for us. And I find this really beautiful and really empowering. And I want to share a couple of reflections on it with you. But this is especially, I encourage you to consider this and read more about it. If you feel or have felt that like there's something more that is meant for you, or if you have struggled with kind of connecting to your purpose, it's a really beautiful way to think about it. And for some people, their purpose is really clear. Those souls' purpose is very clear. I mean, Picasso, Mozart, right? Some of the greats. I mean, Mozart was composing when he was 2. It was pretty clear that his soul's purpose was to create beautiful music. And for Picasso, it was pretty clear that his soul's purpose was to make art. For most of us, mere mortals, it takes work. It takes work. It takes courage to tell ourselves the truth about what is pulling at us, what is calling to us. It takes courage to actually follow that call, because usually our soul is calling us to do things that feel scary because they may not align with the life we think we should be living, or the life that feels secure and safe, or the life that we have been living so far. And so it takes courage to uncover your soul's code, to uncover your inner acorn's purpose. And it also takes trying different things. You know, one of the things that I think is so important to recognize is life is meant to be lived, right? I think meditation is wonderful, and I do a morning meditation every morning, but we are not meant to kind of run away to to Nepal and just like meditate on our life purpose for a year. That is not how we uncover it. We have to be engaged. We have to be in conversation with life, because it is by doing different things and then paying attention to how we feel when we do them that we can uncover our soul's purpose. And I want to share a piece of my personal experience with you. You know, I spent 20 plus years, mostly in tech. I started out in consulting at McKinsey. Then I fell in love with startups and did startups. And I was an investor in venture capital for a few years. And then I really loved startups and building companies. So I ended up building companies in tech for a long time. And I started 3 of them, including a company probably many of you know me for, Happier, where the first iteration of it was we built a gratitude sharing mobile application that was used by hundreds of thousands of people. Still incredibly proud of that. And I did many really interesting things, and I accomplished many things that I'm genuinely proud of. And I learned a lot, and I had a lot of fun. But all throughout my life, I had this nagging feeling of like not quite being home, like not being fulfilled, like this inner friction. Do you know what I mean? This like sense of like not quite being in my place. And so but I didn't really have the words to articulate it or the tools to do something with it. So my answer was just to do more things. And that eventually led me to suffer a pretty debilitating burnout. But one of the things that I uncovered after my burnout, and after for the first time in my life, I had the courage to go inside, go within, and start asking myself these very, very scary questions of, what do I want to do? What feels good to me to do? I mean, they're scary because they create new possibilities, and things that are new are challenging and scary. And so I went on this journey of self-discovery. And what I uncovered was really a big deal and kind of shook me. And it was that I did not want to be a tech CEO. And that's what I was. And that's what I thought I was going to be forever and ever and ever. And that's how I defined success. But I uncovered that I didn't love it. I was good at it. I wasn't great at it. And I didn't love a lot of aspects of it. And what I really love is writing and speaking and mentoring people and making art, which was a giant revelation. And as I started to follow a different path of creating a new life, a new career, doing what I felt called to do, which is what I do now, I realized that for so long, excuse me, this is how you know this is authentic and real conversation. We're not even going to edit this part. I think let's just leave it. One thing that hit me was that perhaps I didn't burn out just because I was completely overwhelmed running this tech startup, right? And it was overwhelming, and I completely ignored my well-being. But I think another cause of my burnout, another reason, was that I was not aligned with my soul's purpose. And my kind of shorthand for that is I feel like I was a tomato trying really hard to become an oak tree, right? And a tomato is not meant to become an oak tree. And I was. An acorn is meant to become an oak tree, not a tomato. And that was, I think, the feeling that I was experiencing, even with all my success and accomplishments, of just like not quite being aligned, like not home, not really satisfied no matter what I did. Because, and that is to me, what we're talking about is the whole purpose of what I call reinvention. And reinvention to me is not about becoming someone new. It's actually becoming more of who you are. It is aligning more with your soul's purpose, with your unique gifts, with the unique ways to express yourself. And I think it is one of the most important kind of parts of being human and becoming an adult and going through our life experience is to honor that, to learn to listen to our soul's purpose and then learn to honor it. And it does take courage. It is not easy. In his book, The Soul's Code, James Hillman, and he's really, I really encourage you to read it. But he profiles a lot of really famous people, musicians and writers that we would all know, and their challenges. And even when you know what your soul's purpose is, it's not always easy to follow it. It is challenging, but I think we're not after an easy life. I think it is not an easy life that makes us happy and deeply fulfilled. It is a life that is authentic. It is a life that feels true to us. That is the life that we're all seeking. We all want to be acorns that grow into a beautiful oak tree. We don't want to be a tomato that tries to grow into an oak tree and feels that constant resistance and lack of satisfaction and feeling like something is off. And so I wanted to share this with you as food for thought and for something to marinate on and to consider what is your version of your inner acorn? What is your soul's purpose? Do you have hints about it? Maybe you're very clear about it. Maybe it's a whisper. Maybe it's something that has been calling to you, but you're kind of like swatting it away, understandably, because it doesn't align with the work you're doing now or the life you're living now. And I want you to just give yourself a bit of space and a little courage, a lot of courage, and some freedom to consider it. And like I said, for most people, we're not Picasso, we're not Mozart. It's not going to be something that like hits you over the head. And I think that's one of the fallacies that causes so much frustration, is this feeling that, you know, our life purpose should be so clear to us. And if you don't know exactly what it is, there's something wrong with you. That is our life's work. And in his book, that's how James Hillman writes about it. And Carl Jung talked about it the same way. And I find it really beautiful. Like the soul is asking you to uncover its purpose. It's not going to present it to you on a post-it note. It's not in a tweet or an Instagram post. It's not like, do these 5 things and you'll uncover your soul's purpose. And I think we've kind of become too much of a society that is like wanting these quick answers. It is your life's work. And again, I find that very encouraging, because whatever age you are, and if you're not quite sure what it is, that is okay. It's just an invitation to have more courage, to spend more time thinking about things like, when do you feel most alive? What are you doing? Or what are the things that when you've done them, like you lost track of time, you were really in flow? What really energizes you? What do you get really excited about? What are some things that you do, even though they're challenging, but you're drawn to them anyway? Those are asking yourself these questions, offers you kind of glances into your soul's purpose, because it manifests in those ways. And I hope you take some time to reflect on yours. And then the thing is, if you have a hint about something, again, the answer is not going to, most of the time, it's not going to hit you over the head. But if you have a hint of something, pull on that thread. But do it with a mindset of learning versus like having to have an outcome. So, you know, when I started to paint 9 years ago after my burnout, it's just something that's always called to me that I had rejected because it didn't fit into my life as a tech CEO in my mind. And so I started to do it. I didn't have any expectations. Well, it's 9 years later, and I have to share something very special with you. I just signed a lease for an art studio space, literally right before I started recording this podcast. So you're celebrating with me. And I share that because the more that I make art, the more that I share it, the more encouraged and excited I am to make more art. And I finally got to a place where I'm going to take my art more seriously. I want to spend more time with it. I want to have a space where I can experiment. But I didn't know that at the beginning. And so give yourself permission, give yourself the freedom to pull on the threads that your soul is offering you. Pull on those things that make you feel excited, that energize you, that maybe even they're challenging or calling to you, and just see what you can learn by doing that. Don't have this like all or nothing mentality, which we often have, like, oh my God, this is calling to me, but it has nothing to do with my job. What am I going to do? Am I going to quit my job? What's going to happen? No, don't think that way. It's not all or nothing. I have not quit my job. I run a successful business. I mentor people. I speak. I write. I also make art. You can find many different ways to express your soul's purpose. It does not have to be your job. It's beautiful when it can be. My work is now aligned with my soul's purpose, but it doesn't have to be 100%. So get out of the all or nothing mentality and just give yourself the freedom to ask yourself those questions, and then to pull on some of those threads to uncover more of your soul's purpose. Because I wouldn't tell you that my life is easier than it was before, but it is deeply fulfilling and it is energy giving. When you align with your soul's purpose, even when you're doing difficult things, it is energy giving to you. And it's a really beautiful feeling to wake up every morning and to feel that you are at home in yourself, that you are living the life that you're meant for. I hope you find this insightful. Most of all, I hope you take some time to marinate on what has been calling to you, even if it's a whisper, and to have the courage to try it a little bit, to pull on the thread without expectations. As always, I love hearing from you. You can send me an email to nataly@happier.com. Let me know how this resonates, what other topics you'd love for me to address and talk about and invite people to talk about on this podcast. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. And I will see you or be in your ear next week for our next episode. Take care.